Hey friends, it is Veronica to talk to you about my creative process. My horrible, very painful, very rewarding creative process. I get this question from people. I mean, I've had emails on just emails, messages on Facebook and Goodreads, especially. People ask me like, "What's your process?" Like, and maybe they're imagining me, getting inspired by all these things, and then I go out and I make these amazing creations, and it's this beautiful flower blossoming. Um, yeah, it's nothing like that. And I'm in the middle of it right now, and I'm making this video like against my better judgment because I'm just having the worst day. Actually, no, today's not that bad. Today's like day three, so yesterday was pretty bad, and the day before was the worst. And what happened is that I showed my work to people. I mean, the writing part is not so hard, right? I write when I can, and sometimes I'm ready, sometimes I'm not, and I can just be gentle with it. And I've learned to do that over time, to take care of myself and get inspired by what I'm inspired by. Like if I have sessions with clients, then I'm really on fire after that. So I have a lot of creative inspiration that comes from those sessions. I love running. After I run, then all my ideas get really clear, and this is old stuff, this is, everybody says this, right? Input, output, you just get inspired and you get your stuff out there. And what nobody talks about is this like posting, post release, post sharing depression that happens. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. And I'm also sure that it doesn't maybe happen to all creative people, but it definitely happens to me when I share my work with the world. It is this really interesting process where when I'm working on something, then I'm in this place of how can I make this better? How can I say this in a different way? How can I make this sound beautiful? How can I craft this sentence? I mean, I've spent hours before working on like one paragraph, just like refining one sentence, and it's a certain mindset, this mindset where you say, okay, I'm gonna fix this, right? I'm gonna make it good, but it is this kind of fixing, creating kind of process. And after it's out there, there's nothing you can do. Right? It's out there how it's out there. But then my mind stays in that kind of how can I make it better phase. So then it just turns into judgment, right? It's like, oh, it's not good enough, and oh, it's bad, and I start to project all these judgments into other people's heads, which is not fun, and just makes me feel really sensitive and makes me misunderstand like everything. So um, the first draft, well, really, it's the third draft of The Art of Talking to Yourself, my second book. It's done. And I sent it off to the beta readers, which are basically people that read it, who would be readers of the book anyway. And they just kind of give some feedback about how the book reads to them, how they feel about it, and then they become like the first reviewers for the book as well. And the first bits of feedback that I got, I mean, they like crushed me. And looking back, even now, like I know this was 4 days ago. I first sent it out, and I got some replies, and I just started projecting all these thoughts into the readers' heads, like that they don't like it, that they just hate it, just giving meaning to every single little bit of feedback. And that sucks, and it makes you so sensitive, like everything just starts to hurt, everything is just becomes a problem. Like last night, Jamie and I decided to watch a movie, and usually we take turns like picking. So it was his turn to choose, and he chose this like really corny kind of thriller. It wasn't even a horror movie, it just had like a few jump scares in it. And I'm trying to watch this thing and like I couldn't, like every single time that something happened, I just felt it actually felt like somebody was yelling at me or like a real emotional trauma. Like the responses I was having to this just like silly movie with its silly plot that, we ended up laughing about afterwards. I couldn't take it. Like we had to turn it off halfway. And then I cried myself to sleep because it was just intolerable. And even now, like I don't know if you notice it. I notice it as I'm speaking, like my voice is just it's just kind of weak and I feel like a minefield, and I actually reached out to one of the beta readers and I said, hey, I don't think I can read this feedback right now. Like I'm too sensitive to do this right now. And, I can't do it. Right. And something that he just replied in like the kindest, nicest way. And something that he said back, I just like misunderstood it again and just like twisted it in my head. And it all came out well. He's been very patient with me. And then I got all these thoughts afterwards, like, oh my god, now he like knows, like he knows about what a emotional basket case I am and how vulnerable I am right now, and it's like already bad, but like now somebody knows, um, and then I'm thinking, it's already like bad enough, and I'm just like trying not to show it to people. So, yeah, I decided to like make this video and show it to you, show you how like painful this is for me right now. And it's like it hurts and then it doesn't at the same time. It's like it's so hard to describe. Like I'm on the brink of like crying and laughing at every single moment. And like everything is just like setting me off. I was trying to do something on my social media and like clicked on the wrong button, and then it's like this burning in my chest and like in my face, and it just feels like the worst thing in the entire world has happened. It's like the shame, like over clicking the wrong button, just like this irritability, this shame. And um I suppose it's like being really hormonal, except it's just so many like emotions, right? Just so much sensitivity. And I guess a part of me knew that this was coming, and I also um, didn't really want it to. So I leave myself the space to say, okay, after I release this out to basically its first editors, like the first people that are going to see this book, I tell myself, hey, you might feel like this, so you might. And I'm like, okay. But then some other part of me thinks, but maybe we won't. When I first wrote The Love Mindset, I wanted to like burn it immediately afterwards and just delete it, like just destroy it. Like I hated it. I hated it with like such a passion. Like I remember reading the first sentence of the preface and thinking, this is like the worst first sentence of any book ever. Like, it's just the worst thing that has ever been created by any human being. Like why would anybody ever read this? And just crying and hating it. And I guess I thought that I had built up some more confidence in my writing since then, because I will release articles or videos and I don't really get the post-posting depression, as I'm choosing to call it, after that. And what I've realized is that a book's a little different. A book's like this. I mean, it's been 3 years coming. I've been writing it very, very slowly and writing it and rewriting it. And it's been a really difficult process. I've had some really hard times with trying to write it and not being able to because it just wasn't the right time. And now, obviously, retrospectively, I'm like, this is why it wasn't the right time, because my mind needs to make up those stories. Like, who knows if it's true or not, but it seems like, okay, it took 3 years. That's really good. And really the idea that I have created something and I have come to the point where I think, yeah, this is good. This is where I think the fixing of it process stops, right? And then you show it to somebody and maybe they insert a comma or maybe they insert a semicolon, maybe they say move this paragraph and it's not so bad, right? But when you're saying something and then they misunderstand or they make a suggestion that's really different from what you intend, or they give you feedback like, oh, is this what you mean by this? It's not. It's nothing like that. You just get this feeling of, oh, I thought it was like good enough, but it's not. um, that's a really painful, necessary part of the creative process, and that's what sucks so much about it, right? It's like this acceptance and improvement all at the same time. And I have this relationship with my body too, right? Like I've learned to love and accept my body as it is, moment to moment to moment, but I do have, physical goals, and like I do like to explore my own strength, and I like to see how far I can take myself, and like I do notice um if I'm not strong enough to do something, right? So like I can love myself and accept myself moment to moment while seeing the opportunity to improve. And um, with some things, that process of like acceptance and improvement, it's really like nicely laid out, like the acceptance goes exactly where it's meant to, and the improvement goes exactly where it's meant to. But somehow with this book and the last book, just like books in general, like these big, I suppose, like big creative projects that I keep to myself and then release out to the world, it all gets mixed up. Like it just all gets mixed up. And unfortunately, I think I put a bit too much of my own identity into it too, right? Like I become like this book, and this book is like my baby, and I love this baby, and then somebody comes along and it's just like, oh, nice baby, but there's like this big hideous wart on its forehead, and I just can't help but think, how dare you talk to my baby that way, and screw you, and but it's true at the same time, like all of these horrible thoughts, and there's no like cure. I mean, if there is a cure, then it's what I was about to do when I went to go make this video, because after I talked to one of the beta readers about, really after I misunderstood him and then we unearthed the misunderstanding, I said, I'm just like a minefield right now of emotion, and like I can't work right now. I can't do it. I can't work. I can't do social media. I can't talk to people. I can't support people right now, right? Like so much of my work is like being supportive to people. Like I'm a train wreck right now, and like I can't do it. So I said, I'm getting off the computer. I'm getting out of this. I'm just getting out of working. Like I'm gonna run myself into the ground and just try really hard to be gentle. And um, the reason I wanted to share this is really kind of twofold. Like, one, it's that I really do believe that you're only as sick as your secrets. Like, all the voices in my head that are like, don't tell people you feel like this. Oh my God, he knows, It's just not gonna work. It just makes it worse. And I've projected a bit onto my other readers as well, and I feel like it's better out there. It's better out there with me being really clear about how I feel right now, and coming up to the people that I'm communicating with right now and just saying, hey, I'm really sensitive right now, which is what I've gone and done. Like anybody that I'm in close contact with right now knows that maybe it's not a good time for a lot of things. Like I'm just raw and I'm healing, and that's important. But it's also important to me, like it's important to me to be able to just experience this and experience this as a part of it, and to have that be okay. And I'm realizing that also it's not just about me sharing for myself. It's also about, um, how people look at creativity. I've had a lot of clients who are just like, oh, I don't know how you do what you do, with this assumption of, oh, if you do it, then it must be easy for you. And like, it's not. It's so horrible sometimes. Like, it's so horrible. Like, right now, it's just so hard. Like, I can't even tell you. But I do it anyway, because maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after, maybe in a few days, maybe if I take care of myself well enough, then it'll be by the end of today. Like, who knows, right? I will feel better. And then this will kind of be out of my system. And then I will process through all of these emotions and find a new level of appreciation, not only for myself, but also for the creative process. Like, think about something like birthing. I've never given birth, but, I've had clients and friends who have given birth, and it's like this painful, amazing, beautiful, chaotic process of like life giving. And that's exactly what the creative process is. It's not this like little flower blooming. It's like a baby being born. Like, there's blood and there's sweat and there's screaming, and it's a big mess, like a big beautiful mess that ends up in something so amazing, and it's worth it. So if you're there, if you're like feeling how I am and you think that that means that you should give up, then don't listen to that voice that tells you that. You can feel like this and move on. You can have like so much self-doubt and so much insecurity and so much self-judgment and so much like projecting your anger and your sadness onto other people and just feeling like you want to give up and go on anyway. Maybe not today, right? Maybe today I just need some like nature and yoga and to pet these beautiful cats that we're pet sitting for right now. And not today, but soon. This is not like crying to quit. You can cry and then finish crying and then keep going. Like, it doesn't mean what it seems like it means. Like, all those thoughts, they feel so true. All of that resistance, it feels like is so true. All of that pain that says you should stop, like all of that self-judgment, it's like this avalanche, and it feels like this is the end, like this is where I should stop, but it's not. It's like this birth, that is like this creation, this creativity, and it's got so much pain in it. It's like this eruption, and it's going forward. I think we have such amazing minds that give us the ability to interpret our experiences, right? Like, right now, I can make a choice to interpret my experience as a sign to stop. And believe me, I have those thoughts. I have thoughts that are just like, why can't I just, be happy having like a job that doesn't involve so much friggin' pain? Why can't I just like go and do something where I don't have to face up to like judgment or to the criticism of others, where I don't have to like bare myself so openly and so publicly, and then feel so bad about what some people are going to say? Why can't I just go do that? Like, obviously I have those thoughts, right? But those thoughts are just a part of it. They're just a part of the process. They're just these things that come and then they go. And I have the option of saying, hey, those thoughts are just like a part of it, or saying, hey, those thoughts are ultimately true and I should go with them. And it really comes down to choice, right? Like, I'm making a choice to believe that this is all for something, right? That it's worth going on, even though I feel like this, even though I'm so sensitive and it hurts so bad. Like, it's worth it to just move on. And a lot of people look for this I am healed place, right? Where I'm like so healed that nothing ever hurts me. And yeah, sometimes I feel like that. Sometimes I feel like nothing can ever hurt me. Sometimes I feel like really just bulletproof. But if I do get those moments in my life, it's only because I allowed these moments in my life too. I can only feel like I am this amazing, brilliant, beautiful part of everything because I also feel the processes of like the walls that go up between me and everything. And I cry when the walls go up, and then I cry as I'm disassembling them. You know, my mind always trying to protect me from the world. And I am the one that keeps saying, yeah, it hurt, but I don't need to be protected from it. You know, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to experience it anyway. I'm going to go feel anyway, even though sometimes being the kind of person that feels, especially in a world full of people who have numbed their emotions, that then they don't feel. And it's not like that's an entirely conscious process, right? Like your mind will try to protect you, and you can really go into like a numb place. I mean, I've been there, and I feel like I fight to stay open, and it's not easy. It's not easy, you know. It's not easy being someone who makes this choice, right? It's just a choice. I don't think any of us are inherently, you know, driven to make that kind of decision in our lives. You know, it's hard, but I mean, it's worth it. Like, even with all this pain, even with all of it, and even with knowing that once I'm done this video, which has become so much longer than I thought it was going to be, even once I share this with you, I know it's going to be worth it, because I know what some of you are going to say, and I know how some of you are going to feel, and I know how it's going to help you, and I know how it's going to help me. I know how I'm going to feel after this. You know, it is worth it. It is so much better than shutting down and saying, I'm not going to do this anymore, shutting down and saying, oh, I'm like so hideous right now. Like, how can I even show myself to the world? It's like, yeah, I can. I can show myself. I can show my book. I can show my feelings. You know, it's okay, no matter what. You know, it's okay, and it is worth it. And yeah. So thank you for, I mean, giving me the space to express this, but also for, I guess, allowing this into yourself. Because if you're feeling like, oh my gosh, I really get what she's saying right now, it's like you had to open up a little place in your heart and let me in, because you could just as easily take this kind of cold distance away from me and just judge me for what I'm doing right now, which I'm sure that some people will, and they'll just see me through this like intellectual critical lens, and that's okay. There's people like that. But if you're really feeling me right now, then thank you, because you're doing what I'm doing. You know, you're making that choice to stay open, no matter how freaking painful the world is sometimes, how painful life is sometimes, how painful the human mind is sometimes. And that's awesome. You're awesome. We're awesome. I'm glad we're doing this, even if sometimes it sucks. Okay. I love you guys.